It feels like every single hour there's some new AI headline,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Groundbreaking this, must-have tool that. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's easy to feel swamped. And if you're like me, you want to keep up, but, without drowning in information.
Definitely.
So for this deep dive, we thought we'd step back a bit. Look at where AI really stands right now.
Uh-huh. Both of the impressive stuff and, maybe more interestingly, some surprising limitations.
Exactly. We're drawing from the current state of AI capabilities and challenges report from AI Deep Dive.
Good source.
And our mission here, just to pull out the key insights for you, give you a clearer picture of what's actually happening today.
Yeah, cut through some of that hype. Because honestly, the pace is dizzying.
It really is. So taking a focused look at the reality is, well, pretty crucial right now.
This report helps us see not just what AI can do, but also where it's still, falling short.
Okay, so let's start with how AI is hitting the professional world right now.
Mhm.
The report highlights Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. Apparently, he's really integrating Copilot into his day-to-day.
Yeah, I saw that. He's even using it to process podcast transcripts. Like instead of listening.
That's what it says. Discusses the content with the AI.
Wow. And it's not just casual use, is it? The report mentions, 10 custom Copilot agency uses?
Yeah, about 10. Tailored for specific things, summarizing emails, prepping for meetings, stuff like that.
That level of use, from a CEO, that really signals a shift, doesn't it? How executives might work.
It makes you wonder, yeah, how could this reshape leadership roles down the line?
Exactly. And it's not just his personal workflow either.
Right. The report ties us into bigger changes at Microsoft. It mentions those reported layoffs impacting programmers.
After Nadella said something like 30% of their code was AI generated.
Yeah, that statement.
So it's a really tangible example, isn't it, how AI could affect jobs?
For sure. And for you listening, it makes you think, how might AI slot into your job?
Right. Could parts of your work change significantly? Nadella's story shows both the potential efficiency gains.
And maybe some workforce shifts, too. It's happening.
Definitely something to keep an eye on.
Okay, let's switch gears to something a bit more, well, puzzling.
Uh-oh. What's that?
Amazon's generative AI-powered Alexa plus Say. Remember the launch?
Vaguely, yeah. Big announcement, Andy Jassy presented it.
Right. But this report came out over 6 weeks later, and AI Deep Dive found, well, surprisingly little proof of anyone actually using it.
Really? That's strange. So what's the deal with Alexa plus Bang?
Good question. Amazon says hundreds of thousands have access now, employees, early access folks.
Well, hundreds of thousands sounds like a lot.
It does, but the report highlights this total lack of real-world users talking about it.
Huh. Avi Greengart from Texponential had a quote, didn't he? About companies announcing things that are almost ready.
Yeah. Awfully close to being ready, but not quite. That was his take. Could this be a wider issue for big tech rolling out advanced AI hardware?
It might be. Reuters tried pretty hard to find these users, right?
They did. Scoured news sites, social media, Amazon's own reviews.
Oh, I've found.
Almost nothing. Just 2 unverified mentions on Reddit. That's it.
Wow. So Amazon says hundreds of thousands have access. That number's even up from the 100,000 reported earlier in May.
Right.
But no public reviews, nobody willing to talk about it. That's weird.
Especially when you think about other Amazon launches, like the Color Kindle. Reviewers usually get early access, same with Apple stuff.
Yeah, there's usually buzz. So why the silence here?
Well, the report suggests some possible reasons. Sources said Alexa Plus can be slow and sometimes spits out inaccurate information. Not great selling points.
No, definitely not. Plus, wasn't there something about the cost to run it?
Yeah, apparently it's pretty expensive for Amazon operationally.
That makes sense. The original Alexa caught on because it was simple and useful.
Right.
If this new AI version is slow, wrong, and expensive, well, that's a tough sell.
And remember that early preview of an AI Alexa back in September 2023?
Oh, yeah. What happened with that?
It just never materialized, never came out.
Huh. So a pattern, maybe?
Could be. And the intended features sound cool, handling multiple requests, acting like an agent.
Yeah, the promise is there. Jassy even said on an earnings call that over 100,000 were using it and really liking it.
Which just makes the lack of evidence even more puzzling.
There's a marketing angle, too, right? Americus Reed's point.
Yeah, that Amazon might be fumbling the anticipation buildup. Announce it then. Radio silence for ages.
Doesn't exactly build hype. And didn't they say people at the February launch event couldn't even try it?
Correct. No hands-on demos for the attendees.
That's unusual. Compare that to the Fire Phone launch. back in 2014, people got to play with it. Or the first Echo, people started talking about it pretty quickly.
Exactly. It's a strange rollout. They talked about using it for shopping advice, news summaries, even complex stuff like ordering food with dietary restrictions.
All sounds useful.
But then, get this, the report mentions Amazon actually cited a now deleted anonymous Reddit post in a Tech Radar article to show someone using it.
Seriously? A deleted anonymous post?
Yep. That kind of highlights the struggle they seem to be having finding real examples.
Wow. Okay, that really makes you think about the hurdles. It's not just about building the AI.
It's about making it work reliably in
yeah.
people's homes, bridging that gap between potential and reality.
Precisely. Developing the tech is one thing. Making a good, reliable product is another challenge entirely.
Okay, last point, and this one's really counterintuitive. From the AI Deep Dive report again,
Lay it on me.
even these super smart AI models, they struggle with basic timekeeping, reading analog clocks, understanding calendar dates.
Wait, really? Clocks and calendars? The AIs writing code and poetry can't tell time.
Apparently not very well. It's one of those findings that makes you pause, right? Reevaluate what AI is actually good at.
For sure. Where did this research come from?
It was presented at the 2025 ICLR conference, that's the International Conference on Learning Representations, and there's a preprint on ArcSIF, so proper research channels.
Okay. And what did the researchers say?
The lead, Rohit Saxena, pointed out the significant gap between human and AI abilities on these tasks, things most kids learn pretty easily.
Yeah, reading a clock isn't exactly rocket science for us.
Right, and he stressed how important fixing this is if AI is going to be useful in real-world situations where timing matters.
Makes sense. How did they test this?
They made a custom data, pictures of clocks, pictures of calendars, fed them into some big-name multimodal LLMs.
The models that handle images and text, like for Meta, Anthropic, Google, OpenAI.
Exactly. Llama 3.2 Vision, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, Gemini 2.0, GPT-4o, the big guns.
And the results were?
Pretty bad, honestly. The report says they failed to get the right time or day of the week more than half the time.
More than half, wow. What were the actual accuracy numbers?
Clocks were only right 38.7% of the time. Calendars, even worse, 26.3%.
That is bad. Why? Why is reading a clock so hard for them?
Saxena's explanation is that it needs spatial reasoning. Figuring out overlapping hands, angles, different designs. It's not just recognizing that's a clock.
Ah, okay. It's about interpreting the spatial relationship of the parts.
Precisely. And calendars. They're tricky too, but for a different reason.
How so?
AI doesn't use rule-based math like we might, or like a basic calculator. It predicts outputs based on patterns in its training data.
So it's pattern matching, not calculation.
Basically, yeah. It might guess some dates right if they look like patterns it's seen, but the underlying logic isn't there, especially for rarer things.
Like leap years or weird calendar quirks.
Exactly. Even if the concept of a leap year is in the training data, applying that rule consistently seems hard for it.
That really highlights how differently AI thinks, doesn't it? Great at patterns, struggles with applying abstract rules or generalizing.
Totally. Saxena had a great quote. What for us is a very simple task, like reading a clock, may be very hard for them, and vice versa.
That sums it up well. Simple for us, hard for AI,
Yeah.
and presumably some complex things are easy for AI, but hard for us.
Right. And it points to a need for more specific training data, maybe rethinking how AI tackles logic and spatial stuff, especially for less common tasks.
Yeah, and Saxena had a warning too, didn't he? About trusting AI too much.
He did, especially when a task mixes perception, like seeing the clock, with precise reasoning, like figuring out the time. He emphasized rigorous testing and keeping humans in the loop.
Crucial advice. This whole area makes you think about what kinds of reasoning are still fundamentally human, at least for now.
Definitely food for thought. Okay, so let's quickly recap.
We hit Nadella's deep dive into AI for his own work.
The mystery of the missing Alexa Plus users.
And this really surprising finding about AI struggling with telling time.
Yeah. For me, the big aha is that contrast, these incredibly advanced systems.
Stumbling on stuff a kid can do.
Yeah.
It shows how much more there is to understand about intelligence itself, both artificial and, well, ours.
Absolutely. So for you listening, does hearing this change how you see AI's current abilities or where it's heading next?
Yeah, and that brings us to a final thought to leave you with.
Yeah.
Given these limitations we talked about and the adoption hurdles like with Alexa plus Arroy, what are the truly realistic applications of AI in the near term? The ones that will genuinely transform our daily lives in a way that's reliable and, actually useful.
Not just the hype, but the practical reality.
Exactly. What can AI consistently deliver right now that meets real human needs? Something to mull over.